So previously we have talked about the store, the action and the reducer. So let's now try to understand this with one diagram. So store is most important portion of the Redux application. We should have a store, and inside the store we have the reducer. So the reducer will interact with the state. So in our application we have the view UI portion, then we have the dispatch, and then we have the action. So the UI basically one button from where we can dispatch the action. So from the UI we can dispatch the action to the reducer. Then our reducer will interact with the state. It will modify the state, update the state, and the state will be updated in our store. Then our UI or the view can access the state from the store. Like an example, in the view, suppose we have one increment button. So on click of that button, it will dispatch the increment action. And because of the increment action, the reducer will update the state value of count by 1. So in our store, the count value will be increased by 1. And then our view can get that updated state from the store, and this way the count value will be increased. And this is the whole process of the Redux application. So let's now see the whole process in action. So previously we have installed the Redux and the React Redux in our application. So now here inside the source folder we're gonna create one folder, Redux. So this folder will contain all the Redux related files. So first of all we need to create the store. So inside the Redux folder we're gonna create store.js. So first of all let's just create the state. So we're gonna have the initial state with the count value of 0. And then you can see we need to create one reducer. So reducer is basically a function. So let's just create the function. We're gonna call this counter reducer. So the reducer will take one state and the action, and we're gonna initialize the state with the initial state. So the reducer will take the action, and based on the action it will modify the state. So let's now use the switch case. So based on the action dot type, so if the action dot type is increment, then we're gonna return, so we're gonna increase the count value, so state dot count plus 1. So similarly we're gonna define the decrement action. So if the case is decrement, so we're gonna return the count value where we're gonna decrease the count value by 1. And there will be one default case where we're just gonna simply return the state. So we have created the state and the reducer. Now we have to create the whole store using the reducer and the state. So for this, so we're going to import create store from Redux. So let's now create the store. So we're gonna pass the counter reducer in the create store function. So here you can see the create store is crossed out and it says this is deprecated, and that is because the create store is no longer used. So instead we use the Redux toolkit. So we're gonna talk about that in the later video. For now let's just go with that. Now we have to export the store. So export default store. So we are done with creating our store. Now we have to go to the index.js. Now from here we have to pass the whole store to our application. So for this we need the provider. So here we're gonna import provider from the React Redux. So we're gonna import the provider, and then we're gonna wrap our whole application with the provider, and here we're gonna pass the store. So we have to import the store. So now our whole application has access to the store. So let's now create one view or UI where we have the increment and the decrement button. So in the app.js here, so here we're gonna create the button. We'll have the increment button and the decrement button. So now we have to dispatch action from the UI. So on click of that button, we should dispatch one action to the reducer. So for this, we need to use the useDispatch. So here we're gonna import useDispatch from React Redux, and we're gonna use the dispatch, and this will return the dispatch. Now on click of that button, we're gonna dispatch the action. So in the dispatch function, we're gonna pass the action with the type as increment. And similarly, on click of the decrement button, we're gonna dispatch the action with the type decrement. So from the UI, we have dispatched the action, and this will modify the state of our store. Now the UI should get the state from the store. So for this, we're gonna use the useSelector hook. So let's now call the useSelector, and this will take one callback function with the state. We're gonna simply return state.count. So because we need the count value to show in our UI, so we're gonna say const count. So this count will contain the count value from our state. So now we're gonna show the count value right here inside the h1. So we're gonna show the count right here. So here you can see we have the count value with the increment and the decrement button. So we can increase the count and also we can decrease the count. So our app is working properly, and we have created all of this using the React Redux. And this is the whole working diagram. So first of all, we have created the store with the reducer and the initial state. So in the UI, we have the increment and the decrement button. So on click of that, we can dispatch the action, and based on the action, our reducer is modifying the state. So because the store is centralized, so every component can have access to the store, and it can access the value of the count, and it can show the value. And this is the way the React Redux is working. So that's it for the video. See you in the next one. Take care.